Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is April the 10th, 2024, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Feast of the Abib. You'll know it as the Feast of the Passover. Now, I do want to tell you before we get started that this study started off as something entirely different. I was attempting to show that we didn't have to do a pilgrimage 3 times a year, as well as at the time I believed that only the firstborn son was required to do the pilgrimage. While doing the study, I realized that there was no pilgrimage at all. So I kind of had to change it. So we're just going to take a look at some of the things that I learned while I was doing those 2 studies and why I changed my mind, and now I believe that there were no pilgrimages at all. There are feasts, but no one's required to go. So let's go ahead and get started. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. We'll stop there for a moment. 3 times. Oh, well, let's leave this 3 here. I think that's okay. Oh, I have a couple of corrections as well. The 3 times is going to be that they're speaking of here. Is going to be the Abib, which is the first day of the year, the first fruits, and then the Passover. So 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in a year. This word for feast here okay. This is a verb. To hold a feast, hold a festival, make pilgrimage, keep a pilgrim feast. This is a lie. This is not true. They just put that in there. Celebrate, dance, stagger. To keep a pilgrim feast to real. It's a verb. To move in a circle, that is specifically to march in a sacred procession. To observe a festival, by implication to be giddy. Celebrate, dance, keep hold. A solemn feast, holiday, to reel to and fro. You see, it's a dance. It's like you dance at this feast. It's a joyous occasion. Solemn, when you look it up in the dictionary, well, if you look solemn didn't mean solemn in the old days. It meant annual. When you look in one of the older dictionaries, the word solemn meant annual. It didn't imply. The first definition each time is annual. Solemn was the second definition, or the third, I can't remember. It was there, but the seriousness that is implied here, it has to be annual, because it tells you here, you're supposed to be giddy. And solemnity is when you have a very serious disposition. You can't be both. So this is just an annual feast. It's a holiday. And to reel to and fro, that implies dancing. Let's look at the root words here. From an unused root meaning to revolve, turning in circles. And then this one is to describe a circle. Well, when you dance, you have your own little circle which you move around in. So it's describing dancing for joy, like when you're moving within your space and you're, just moving around because you're so happy, or dancing all together, real to and fro. So it's a happy celebration. It's a verb, something you do. The other feast is a noun. It's just a description. That's here. We didn't read down that far yet, but let's go ahead and take a look at it. A festival, a feast, a festival gathering, a pilgrim feast. A festival or a victim, therefore a solemn feast. It's not a solemn feast. It's an annual feast day. a sacrifice, solemnity. I don't understand why they would feel the need to put a sacrifice. Well, it has victim here. I seriously doubt if that's if it means sacrifice, though, because how would you have I don't see the connection between a festival and a sacrifice. I don't see it. Not in our religion. I understand in some religions, but not in ours. Though they do tell us that the Passover is supposed to be, I don't know. It's not I guess I'll have to think about it. Let's move on. But 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Now this verse right here, I really struggled with this verse. I spent a lot of time on this verse. I was trying to keep any of this part here. And I tried everything. I really nothing worked. The sentence, it drags on. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded. As I commanded to keep the feast or eat unleavened bread 7 days. As I commanded thee in the time appointed. Well, did he command them in the time appointed? Or are they keeping the feast in the time appointed? And the same thing, it goes on and on. This run-on sentence doesn't work. So I was trying to salvage as much of it as I could, but you can see that didn't work. Well, I didn't try to salvage this. This was just wrong. And none shall appear before me empty. That I just knew was wrong. But this is what I was able to keep. And thou shalt keep the feast of the Abib, for in it thou camest out of Egypt. And then it goes on. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. But that's all I could keep. The rest of it's just made up. It doesn't belong there. It's made up so that they could put this deception in here. And I'm not sure why they put all these words in here, to be honest with you. I do know why they put in the time appointed of the month Abib. It's because Abib is not Abib. It's the Abib. The word has a definite article in front of it. Let's look. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Okay. Let's look at it in Scriptures for All. It's the Abib. In the month of the Abib. Now, that would be fine. I could have kept the month of here, but the Abib is not a month. The Abib is the new year. It's not a month. One of the things that the Bible does is it'll say the month of, in the month of, and then it'll give the month, and it implies the very first day of that month. It'll just name it as the month. So if there's no days that are, if there are no days that are listed, then you could say it's the first day of the month of the Abib, and it would be fine. But Abib is not a month. Otherwise, I could have left that in here. I'm telling you, I really tried hard to keep this in here. I really tried hard. There was just no way. It is, thou shalt keep the feast of the Abib. That's what it's called. The week is called the Feast of the Abib. For in it thou camest out of Egypt. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering. This is the Passover, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. And I'm calling it the Passover because it is at the end of the year. This word for end is going to be different than the word that they use for end when they're describing the Feast of Booths. It's to go out, the going out of the year, the exit, or the going forth. It's at the end. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before the Lord thy God. Again, this is that same old thing, shall appear before the Lord God. It just doesn't mean anything. I didn't even recognize it. I spent a lot of time on this verse. And I didn't recognize it because I was so used to seeing the 3 times you go before, I didn't even recognize that this is the same old jargon that they use everywhere else. When you're making the sacrifices, make the sacrifice before the Lord thy God. Make the sacrifice in front of the door. Make the sacrifice here. Make the sacrifice to the north. Make the sacrifice. They give you all these different descriptions, and they use the same old line to describe them. And it's different. If they do give you a description, then it's not the same. It doesn't mean anything. It's just words that they use to put in here to have a lot of words to make it harder for you to see the truth. That's all. Now, I have a couple of corrections as well. So one of them is this word right here. I used this word when I did the Jubilee. So that's going to come up because I actually made a mistake when I did that word, when I defined that word. This day came ye out in the month Abib, in the month of the Abib. I left this in here because in the month of, I think it was the way the month was structured. In the month of the Abib, I think it was structured. I can't remember. We'll have to skip that. And thou shalt observe the Feast of Weeks, the first fruits of wheat. And thou shalt observe the Feast of Weeks of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the Feast of Ingathering at the year's end. And this is where they're talking about the Feast of Booths. Coming around the circuit of time or space, turning a circuit, a revolution. So this is where they're talking about the Feast of Booths. Feast of Booths. Just so you guys know, I'm not going to do the study here. I may have a scripture or two where I talk on it, but I'm about 99% sure that the Feast of Booths is not real. I'm about 100% sure, to be honest with you. It's just not. It's not going to turn out to be real. It's just too many lies around it. Thrice in the year shall all your men children appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel. Again, 3 times. This is my correction here. And the priest shall dip his finger. Oh, this isn't the correction. But let me define this word for you and tell you what my problem was with it. Let's look at the dictionary definition first. A stroke, a beat, a foot, a step, an occurrence, okay? 3 times. A stroke literally or figuratively. So, what this means, the way that it's defined, it's saying that, let's take the rhythm of a song. You might have a song where you'll have the beat goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the beat, okay? Or the rhythm. A time is going to be within each of those rhythms. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So you have, each beat has three steps in it, or 3 rhythms. So you can use this like to multiply. So I put this in here because it shows an error when you in this verse. Times can be used as once. It can be used as once because it's all encapsulated in one span. So if we go back and it says, it says it there too. 3 times, and you need to know the span in the year. So you have 3 beats in the year. 3 beats in the year. But it's 1 year. So you can see the error here, because it says, and the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle of the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of the sanctuary. That means he dips his finger 1 time in the blood, and he's supposed to sprinkle 7 times before the Lord. There's a problem with that. You are never going to be able to get enough blood on your finger in order to sprinkle 7 times. It just won't work. So this is just not true. They used the wrong word here. Now, when I did the video on the Jubilee, I remember I struggled with this word. So I went back and I watched the video trying to figure out how did I figure 7 years? I think I just left it highlighted and forgot to change it. And then, because I didn't give an explanation for it, so I don't really know how I came to the understanding. I do remember that I struggled with it, but that's all I remember. And I didn't give an explanation in my video. So this is a correction. You can use this as times. It's 7 times 7 years. 7 times for each of the 7 years. It can be used as a multiplier. All right, let's continue on. Also, on the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the 1st day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And ye shall take you on the 1st day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. So this, you may recognize, is listed as part of the Feast of Booths. But what it is describing is what happened during the Passover week. Hold on. Let me find it here. Okay. So this is another correction that I had to do. I originally had the feast, Jesus riding into the temple on the 9th. I had to change it to the 10th in order for it to match up with Leviticus. So I changed it to the 10th here, and which is good. Something actually happened on that day. And then, of course, we have the Last Supper, the 3 days, 3 nights. Jesus was hanged, the lamb was sacrificed, and then we have the Feast of the Abib. That's our week. And then the wave offering, which happens afterwards. That's our festival week. However, but this event happened during the first day. And it happened during the first day, and I'm going to show you the scriptures in Mark as well, where it said that that is the first day of the festival week. On the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the 1st day, see how it has the 1st day, shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And ye shall take on the 1st day, well, no, okay, that's wrong. You shall take on the 1st day the boughs of goodly trees and branches of palm trees and the boughs of thick trees and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God in 7 days. So I put this in red because this is incorrect. It doesn't read correctly. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. So see how this is redundant information. You could tell that they just added this in, but they didn't take into consideration what had already been said. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. And let's read the Feast of Booths while we're here. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths. That in your generations ye may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Does this sound like something that God would say? That I want to prove to everybody that I made you dwell in booths? That doesn't... I'm going to show everybody that I made Israel dwell in booths. That's the reason that's given. Because the Lord has something. Well, the Lord does have something to prove. He does. But not this. No, I'm not. I don't believe it. Well, it doesn't work anyway. There's too many errors. That's the reason that I started to notice stuff like this. Because of all of the errors. This including. This being one of them. And many spread their garments in the way, and others cut down branches off the tree and strawed them in the way. And this is Jesus coming in to the temple in his triumphal entry. And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way. We don't really need to read that. Again, the triumphal entry. Same thing. This is in John. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. So, hold on. Okay, I had to remember what I thought I was going to have to skip another one. Okay, I remember though. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. So, what this is saying is, when it says blow the trumpet in the new moon, it's saying at the coming in of the new moon, in the time of the new moon. I can't remember the wording exactly. Actually, we can just take a look at it here. Psalms 81. I don't know if it's going to be obvious. In the new moon. Can't recall if there were other examples. No, it's just one. There was one directly above it, if I recall correctly, that was similar. No. This is similar. Let's look at it anyway. I think I did, to decide to use it like that. So, in the month. And so thou shalt do the 7th day of the month for everyone that erreth, and for him that is simple. So shall ye reconcile the house. I think that I just decided, because it hadn't happened yet, that it would be of the month, or of blow up the trumpet during the new moon, or in the new moon, and so it hasn't happened. That was my understanding. In the time appointed, which is going to be the Feast of the Abib, on our solemn feast day. And you see how it's just one day? It's one day that they're honing in on, because that's the day when we are saved. That's the 8th day. I could give you guys, no, I won't. No, I'll just leave it like that for now. The 8th day is the same day as the Feast of Abib, but it's on a different calendar. It's on the 8,000 year calendar, the 7,000 year calendar, and the 8th day being the beginning of the 8,000 year. But the day is still going to be the first day of the year that Jesus returns. We just might not have the right day. We're going to know when he returns, so we'll have the right day. And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear and the flax was bold. I think we should stop here, and then when we pick up, we'll come back and we'll start with the Feast of Abib, because I think it might take me longer than 5 minutes to get through this, and we're at 25 minutes already. So let's stop here, and I will talk with you in the next video.